What's up, guys? We're going to be making some turkey chili today. I think it's going to be pretty good. We're going to start out with these scallions here. Just cut off those little ugly edges there and the root. Make sure to take any of the front skin off here. It's going to be a kind of slimy feeling. You'll notice it. You're just going to want to slide that right off. And then just toss it away. Line up your scallions and continue cutting. We're going to separate the whites from the greens here. The whites are going to have the majority of the flavors, so you're going to want to usually put those in the main part of your dish. So we're just going to continue chopping here, cutting off the whites mostly. I'm going to keep a couple of greens just to kind of pad out. I don't think we were given that much white. One of the scallions I got just pretty much didn't have any whites on it, so we're going to add a bit of greens in there just so we can add some more volume to it. And then chop your greens up. You'll probably use that as a varnish. I mean, as a garnish. You're definitely not going to want to varnish anything involving food. So yeah, you're going to want to use it as a garnish. Until my knife's a little dull here. I definitely need to sharpen that up, or maybe just get a better knife. Having trouble even just cutting some of these the greens of the scallions here cleanly. We're just going to separate those off. And then we're going to start chopping up the other veggies here. I've not made this recipe before, so I hope it turns out pretty good. We're just going to cut off the stem here. Oh, well, that didn't quite work out. Let's try to go inside and get to the rest of the innards out of this pepper here. Just, be careful if you are using a sharp knife. I don't think it matters if I actually touch myself. This knife doesn't feel sharp enough to really cut much. Oh, well, still having trouble getting that out. All right, let's just cut it in half here, It's not a big deal. There we go. We got the center out there. You're going to want to get rid of most of the seeds unless you really enjoy the heat. The seeds are going to be where the majority of the heat's going to be. So if you do want some more heat in your chili, you're going to want to keep some of those. We're just going to separate it out here and half the pepper. Get rid of some of these stray seeds. I don't want any of my pets to eat those and then be running around with a spicy mouth. I don't think eating pepper seeds is going to be very good for them. We're just going to scrape the peppers off into a little bag we've got on the side here for our trash. And we're going to cut out any of the little white centerpiece here. I don't know what you really call that. Like the veins of the pepper here. I'm kind of having trouble getting to the part there. It's fine. We'll just cut part of the pepper. Get that white part out. I'm going to go in and continue kind of pruning the pepper here. And just kind of slowly get all the little nasty parts of the pepper that you don't want in your cooking out. Oh, see, I touched myself with my knife right there, and I didn't even do anything. The one good thing about having a sharp knife, or not having a sharp knife, I suppose, you don't have to worry about cutting yourself too much. Although some people say that having a dull knife has a greater chance of cutting yourself because you have to apply more force. But, it remains to be seen. We're just going to cut the peppers up into strips here. It's going to go really good with the chili. You can cut them up as big or as thin as you want, really. And there we go. Pick up a little piece that fell there. Scrape them off your knife. And push those off to the side and start on the tomato here. I really have no idea how to. And we're going to take some of the peppers here and cut them up smaller that we're going to use for a garnish as well. So I'm just going to take a couple strips here and kind of even them out. That's probably good. And then we're just going to line them up and cut them in the little small bite-sized pieces. Ooh, pulled that one out. There we go. That should probably be a good enough size. We'll just push those off to the side and we'll use those later. Yeah, that'll work. Now we're going to start on the tomato here. Don't really have an idea of how to cut a tomato well. I know how to cut an onion good and like chop it up in like julienne. So I watched a Gordon Ramsay video, but not really sure how to do a tomato. So I'm just going to kind of do the same thing I know how to do with an onion. I cut it up and do like little pieces here. Kind of try not to squish the onion too much, the tomato rather too much, and then I'm just gonna cut it, do it into little chops, little pieces on one side. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Oh, we're mixing our pepper and our tomato there. That's fine. The only problem is once we get past the little part that I put slits in, the tomato pieces are going to be slightly bigger. So I'm just going to try and lay it down and cut it into small bits. I think that'll be fine. We're no professional chef here. We're not trying to be any crazy or anything. We're just making a plain old chili. And it's all going to go in a chili pot anyways and get cooked up. So it's not going to really matter that much. I'm just going to do the same thing with the other tomato here. Give it a good slice up. Try and make the layers at least somewhat even. You don't want any too big pieces of tomato. But like I said, it's not a big deal. And then just cut them all up again. Slice it down. And then we come to the end bit again. And just do the same thing. Cut it with best we can. And that'll be most of the prep work done there. We can actually start on the main chili part. So now we're going to swing over here to the oven. We've got a large pot here. I'm just going to heat that up. Put a drizzle of oil inside over about medium high heat. Let that heat up nice and hot. And then once it's nice and hot, we're just going to drop in some of the cut scallions and the chopped up pieces of pepper. You're only going to want to do this for about 1 or 2 minutes. Get them a little bit browned and get them like nice and fragrant. You'll be able to smell the scallions and the peppers. Make sure you're stirring them occasionally just so they don't get too burnt on any sides of them. Although you do want a little bit of browning, it's going to give them a nice flavor. And just give them a little bit of salt too. Just let that cook and sizzle for about 2 minutes or so. Oop, we have a runaway piece of pepper there. That's all right. There we go. You can see some of the pieces are nice and browned now. It's definitely nice and fragrant. Oop, you can even see them popping out of the pan there, trying to escape. Now we got some ground turkey here. I'm just gonna cut this package open a bit. Now you definitely want to wipe your knife off after you're cutting raw meat with it. Make sure you're not contaminating anything. So we're just going to add that raw turkey to the pot with the scallions and peppers here. Just grab it right out and stick it in. That's what she said. You know, let that sear for a minute. I'm going to drop some seasoning inside here. I've got a little packet of kind of spicy chili seasoning, but you can kind of put whatever you'd like here. It's going to be kind of like a southwestern seasoning that I'm using here. And then drop in, you know, a sprinkle of salt there. And we're just going to start breaking that guy up. Get the seasoning all over everything and the meat all broken up so it starts cooking pretty evenly there. You just want to keep breaking this up until it's in some pretty small pieces. You know, you don't want any too big of meat pieces in your chili there, and it's pretty easy to break up the ground turkey. It's already kind of quite malleable, much more than like a ground beef or a ground pork. It's kind of more like a mush. And we're gonna add a bit of more of our seasoning on top here. It is a chili, so I do like a little bit of spice and a lot of seasoning with it. The ground turkey all by itself isn't very flavorful, so you're definitely going to want to put a lot of flavor in the way of seasoning with it. And we're just going to continue chopping it up into small little bits here. Stirring it around so nothing gets too burned. You are going to want a little bit of browning on the meat as well, just like we did with the vegetables, so it gets that nice, slightly smoky flavor with it. But honestly, the seasoning's going to do most of the work here. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Just going to let that sit for a little bit. Yep, that seems cooked now. Gonna add in the cut tomatoes that we chopped up. We're gonna add in some tomato paste. If I can get it out of this little package that we got here. Squeeze that in there. add some Southwest sauce here. This is kind of just like some chipotle sauce to kind of make it more of a Tex-Mex style chili. It's going to add a bit more flavor and a bit more heat to it. But of course, as always, it's going to be whatever you like as your flavor for your chilies. But I quite like the Tex-Mex flavor. And we're just gonna stir this around till everything gets incorporated. The Tex-Mex sauce and the tomato paste starts to thin out and mix in with the rest of the chili here. Get it nice and stirred up and just all incorporated around. You don't want any big chunks of the chili paste or anything left over. I'm going to add in some black beans. And you're going to want to keep the juice with it. It's going to add a lot of flavor, as well as it's going to be good with the sauce part of the chili, as it condenses as we heat it up and let it simmer. You're just going to drop the whole container in there with the beans as well. There we go. Had some trouble getting it all out. There we go. There's the rest of the beans and everything. As you can see, the juices are boiling nicely. They're going to thicken up as we continue to let that boil and simmer. We're going to add a bit of chicken stock. Just add a little bit more flavor to this chili. Give it that much more of a nice little kick. You do got to be careful though, because some stock concentrates are pretty high in sodium, so you might not want to add too much salt extra as well, because a lot of salt is going to be in the concentrates. We're just going to add about 2 packets of chicken stock here. Chicken stock concentrate, rather. And then we're just going to mix this all up. After we add a little bit of water as well. Add a little bit of pepper there to add some little more kick to it. I like a lot of pepper, so I like to add a lot, but it's going to be personal preference, of course. We're going to add a little bit of kosher salt there. And I'm just going to stir and mix that all up together nicely. Yeah, it's already smelling really good. Starting to get kind of hungry now. I'm going to add a little bit more water just to give it a bit more of a chili base. For the sauce, I want it to be pretty good and saucy. I like a good bit of a liquidiness to my chili. So we're just going to let that heat up to a boil. And then just kind of let it sit and simmer for probably a little while, maybe about 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to be personal preference to how thick you want it. The longer you cook it for, the more it's going to be thick and saucy, as a lot of the water evaporates from steam from the boiling here. So we're just going to let that cook. I'm going to drop the heat down low and then just let it sit. All right, so we've let that sit for about 15 minutes here. You can see the water level has dropped quite a bit. It's nice and thick and saucy. All right, let's get a scoop of that in the bowl here. This is smelling really good. All the flavors and everything have condensed. Let's bring it over here. Let's drop on a bit of some of the garnish here. We're gonna drop on some of these little peppers that we chopped up into slices. I'm gonna drop some green onions on there, some scallions, and we're gonna drop a bit of our prepackaged sour cream crema mix here. Just a bit of like spicy sour cream here. And let's give this a try. It looks really good. Let's get a little bit of everything here. Oh yeah, that is excellent. Actually came out a lot better than I thought. And that is some basic turkey chili. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Apathetic Eats. Have a good one.